Triple M rocks Sunday Arvo footy. Triple M rocks the footy. For Harvey Norman Home Appliances.
Origin Game 3 in the Telegraph, of course, today. Bob Fulton standing down for his from his Origin commitments, which is, of course, on an advisory board to the Origin team, because he will now become the head of football at Manly. So that's good for Bozo, but his involvement with the Origin team will be ending very shortly. So, boys, I'm going to hand it over to you because you're the experts. Paul Gallen is here. And, of course, the discussion 2 minutes after we lost Game 2, Gal, was should you be chosen for Game 3? And I know this affects you personally, mate. I know you got plenty to say, but you can't hide from what people are saying.
No, I can't, and I've never once hidden from it at all. I don't know if they said I shouldn't be chosen. I think it was more along the lines of the senior players are selfish, which is, we still haven't found out exactly what that means. But look, personally, all I do is play the best I can. I play at club level. I'm not making myself unavailable for this game. I spoke to Laurie the back end of last year after Game 3 loss, and I said to him, look, mate, I understand if you want to go another direction. I'm quite happy to stand down from rep football. And he said, no, look, I'm going to pick the best team possible, and if you're the best player at the time, regardless of whether you're captain or not, I'll pick you. And that's been the case. I've got to be honest with you, that sounds like a big head. I still don't know. When you look at my club form, when you look at where we are in the ladder, even when you look at my performances in Origin, if there's someone better than me, I'm happy not to get picked. That's my attitude. And look, I spoke to senior management throughout the past couple of weeks. Obviously, there's, as you said, I can't hide from what's been spoken about. While I don't read it, I hear it all. Yeah. And obviously, family, friends, everybody tells me what's going on. So obviously, I've made phone calls to Laurie. I've made phone calls to senior management and asked their opinion. And look, one senior management there said, look, what are you standing down for? You're standing down because you're not good enough anymore. You don't think you can help the team anymore. You're standing down because it's convenient, so you don't cop the criticism. And that made me think, I'm not a quitter. I'm not going to quit because to make it convenient on myself that I don't, cop this criticism. And that's why I won't be making myself unavailable.
You spoke to us about, obviously, the connection that the Queensland general, the playmakers have. When the New South Wales team get together and you go into those sorts of meetings, I know we've got some inexperienced combinations and some halves. Who controls the game plan? So, obviously Laurie's got a way in which he wants you guys to play. Are the halves, are the guys that need to control that capable of doing that at that level at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. They're the ones that do it. Laurie comes up with the game plan along him and Matt Parrish, and they have what they call spine meetings. The spine's known as the two halves, yep. The hooker and the fullback. So they will have meetings with them. They do their own video sessions that they have, and then we'll come together as a team and they'll tell us what we're going to do. And, we go out there and practice it. And I've got to say, our training has been spot on. We've executed that training perfectly. And look, we've followed the game plan throughout the game. Obviously, at key moments when it matters, we just haven't been able to execute.
Gal, the spine meetings year to year, do they change the game plan? Because you've got different halves nearly every year.
Yep.
So does the game plan change? Yeah,
it does. In 2014, when we won the series, we played a lot off the forwards. We played probably more off the forwards, and at times we got criticism for that as well. But that was more of the game plan then. And look, I missed game 1 last year. Game 2 we obviously won, and game 3 was just a blur. We got hammered. So I can't remember exactly what the plan was last year, but certainly this year, they've taken control of that. They've taken ownership of that. And they control it. As I said, we listen to them. We listen to the points that we want to hit. And, look, I feel that we get it done. We play a lot more of an expansive game, as you can tell. When you have a look at our forwards and the amount we actually touch the ball and the amount we actually run and take the line on is probably less than previous years because we play a lot more to our edges. And that's because of the video and the things that Laurie has done to check out this Queensland side. And when they show us the footage, when they show us the video sessions of why we're doing this, you can see why. Right. Like, we're not sitting in the video session thinking, no, that's not right. We can see the space that we can create if we execute properly, but as I said, unfortunately, in key moments, we just haven't got it done this year.
Why wouldn't the game plan, though, be designed around the best game to play to unpick Queensland against the game that most suits your halves?
Well, that's what it is. That's what the game plan is, as far as I know. Look, I'm certainly not going to question, Laurie's game plan. I have enormous faith in Laurie and his game plan. That's the idea of a captain. A captain and a coach have to be on the same page. I have to agree with everything Laurie does. I have to trust in what Laurie does, and I have to be one of the people that go and tell that to the playing group. And on the training paddock, I have to lead that on the training paddock. And as I said, when Laurie sits down and shows us why we're playing this game plan, I can see why. I'm not sitting there thinking, but what about if we did this? I can see the space that's there. I can see what, if this is executed properly, what it will create. But as I said, just unfortunately, when it's mattered, we just haven't quite got there.
Okay. Can I just... Ryan Girdler's picked a team. Now, Ryan's here. You're here, Gal,
That's
obviously.
right, I'm right here, Marie.
He's right here. Gal, Ryan doesn't have you in his team. I'm not trying to be controversial here, but you don't have him in your team.
No.
Can I ask you why Gal is here? Why?
Absolutely. Look, I think for me, with all due respect to what Gal and some of the older guys have done over the last 10 years, once I would have loved to have seen a decider on Game 3 where, Gal and all the boys had the opportunity to, do what they need to do to win the series or not, but, come out and play the game of their lives and have their farewell. That would have been, best case scenario. But for me, as soon as we lost Game 2, it became about thinking about, the bigger picture and next year being 2 games, especially at Suncorp Stadium, where, as Gal will tell you, as good as anyone that's played up there, it's a different environment. And for the opportunity now, and I just think we've got so many good young players on the cusp at the moment. And, you look at some of the forwards that I believe that are going to be in the system in the next couple of years. Ryan James in good form. You got young McLean. You got some really good kids coming through at the moment. The Trebojevic brothers that, given the opportunity in Game 3 this year, will just make the transition for those guys next year up at Suncorp a little bit easier. So that was my stand on what do we do for Game 3. Well, we blood guys to get them ready for Origin 2017.
Do you blood everyone though, Gerds? Because I agree that we've had to have a rollover at some point. I think we've probably left it a bit too late. And as you said, it'd be nice if there was something at stake in this game to allow blokes the sentimental journey. Yeah, I don't believe rep jerseys should be given out for sentimental reasons. They should be earned. And while it's nice for certain players to get farewell games or whatever, the point is that means it costs probably in some circumstances a more deserving player a chance at a rep jersey. And that's why I don't agree with it. But I also understand that I don't know if you can't roll in a completely new-looking team, because I think one of the problems that New South Wales has had throughout the past decade is that they lost track of what Origin was about. Queensland did at one point. Queensland did that in early 2000s. They went away and they went away and deliberately rebuilt and started to get more people in around them and started to reinforce the history of Origin and how special it is and what it means and why it is what it is. New South Wales, throughout the past decade, have lost that way, but they have slowly started to rebuild. I think Ricky Stewart turned it around, and then I think Laurie's come in on the back of that and has helped contribute to that. Now, while you've got to look for the future, you've also got to have people there who can teach the ones that are there. If you have a completely new-looking roster and everybody walks in and they're all fresh as a daisy and don't really know what's going on, they don't know what it's about.
Well, you don't have a completely new side.
Well, guys, we've got 11 new players already. There's 11 new players that played Game 2 from last year. That's a fair chunk of your side.
Yeah.
Now, guys, I haven't seen your team, to be honest, but I'll just go to the blokes that you've just picked. Like Jordan McLean, yep, good young player, playing in a really good side. He's now injured anyway, so he's out of the frame.
I picked my side before.
James,
Friday night.
Look, Ryan James, again, a good young player, but is he banging on the door that hard to deserve a New South Wales Origin jumper? I got to say no, personally. Who you got at hooker?
Probably Nathan Peets.
Is Nathan Peets banging on the door that hard that he deserves an Origin jumper?
Does Nathan Peets not get? Well, who's going to be?
It's a big question. I've been asking myself. It's a big question. Who is knocking on the door that hard to get rid of Robbie Farah? Look, in my opinion, Michael Ennis is take out Cameron Smith is probably the form hooker of the competition. But we all know Robbie Farah is going to be the hooker and has been. In my opinion, I think there's a fair bit of distance between Robbie Farah, Michael Ennis, and anyone else coming through.
Yeah.
Nathan Peach is a tough player. Don't get me wrong; he's a great tough player, and I hope he rises to the level. But I think at the moment, I can't say I'd pick Nathan Peach in front of Robbie Farah for Game 3.
We're going into a dead rubber. Yeah. Do we get more out of it if we play guys that have been there for what do we get out of it playing guys that have been there for a while as opposed to playing guys that are possibly going to come into the system next year?
Well, this is what I mean.
Mate. So if Robbie doesn't play Origin next year, and Nathan Peats is the next best hooker, are we better off giving him an option to play their Game 3 this year so he's ready for next year, or are we just happy to roll him into Suncorp?
Because who says he's going to be the hooker next year? This is the thing.
That's what
I think blokes need to say, hang on, I want to be picked for New South Wales. Start playing, start showing at club level that they deserve to be picked. I mean, I can't say that there's too many blokes out there at the moment that are saying that. I agree with Kenny. You can't just be giving Origin jumpers away to think for the future when you don't even know that they're going to be there next year. That's
I guess
my opinion.
that's the risk at some point.
And look, I think there will be changes. I think there will be more changes for Game 3. I mean, Tedesco would have been there had he not been injured Game 1.
Yep.
So there's one bloke who's probably, from all reports, is going to be in. You know, Wade Graham was picked last game, so there's another 2 changes. Bryce Cartwright's name's been tossed up, but that's 3. If them 3 blokes happen to get in, that's now 14 changes from last year's side. You know, there's only 3 more blokes to get kicked out. That's myself, Robbie Farah, and someone else.
All right, this is Sunday Triple M NRL. It's thanks to Bryden's Lawyers.